up, everybody? Welcome to iOS 3 Raw TV. It's been a long time since we did a car talk type deal, and we're going to do it today, right? Today is Sunday. It's my cheat day. It's my reflection day, the day that I reflect on everything that goes on, you know, from week to week, etc. And today, I don't know why, you know, I drove by this bus stop. I don't know why today is a specific deal. And I remember, you know, I had like these flashbacks of sitting at a bus stop when I first moved down here, and I realized that change, you know, this whole video is about change. I realized that change can be something like really scary. And the thing is, we're all here to change all the time. Like, we're here to grow, evolve, and change. Like, that's the whole point of being on this earth, right? Try to be better, right? Try to get better than we were yesterday. Live a better life, you know, have better circumstances, make better decisions. We try to be better, try to learn from our mistakes, etc., stuff like that. And I remember sitting on these benches waiting for the bus in -degree weather, like 11 below zero Fahrenheit. And I had like this, you know, jacket and scarf. I was all wrapped up, and I had like 2 pairs of pants on and multiple shirts under these jacket and stuff. And I carried this big giant igloo cooler. It's these old school ones you take like a picnic. I carry that with me on the bus, and I take the bus to actually get on the metro. Like, it was an ordeal. It'd take me like hours to get to work because it was actually so hard to get to work in DC. And I really stepped back and said, you know what, like, things have changed so much in my life. They're so drastically different now that I look back, in that time when I was doing that, when I moved from Rhode Island, I didn't know what anything held in front of me. Like, I didn't know what life had planned. I didn't know what the fuck I was going to do. But I knew I couldn't stay in Rhode Island and be around the drugs and the people that I was around. I knew I couldn't do that. So I picked up and moved down here, spent every dime I had moving down here, packed my truck, took what I could take in the truck, and drove down to Maryland and, you know, started living here. Now, when we got to Maryland, me and my ex-girlfriend, we had no furniture, no bed, no bureaus. We had a milk crate that we had our TV on, which was like this piece of shit old, you know, TV with the big tubes on it, like on the back of it. And that was it. I think we bought a frying pan when we moved down here. We had like some Tupperware bowls and shit that we would use. We had some plates and shit that we bought at Target, and like, I mean, it was very, very bare bones. I remember we slept on the floor. Like, we slept on the floor for probably the first 3 or 4 months that we were here. We threw like a comforter on the floor and had 2 pillows and then like a sheet to cover up with on the floor. And our clothes were around the outside of the room. They were folded, but around the outside of the room to try to keep it like some order and keep it neat. And if we wanted to watch TV, we'd be sitting on the floor in the living room watching TV. We'd usually eat our dinners either standing in the kitchen at the counter or sitting on the floor in the living room. And I remember thinking, like, you know, I'd get up and it was dark when I woke up. It was dark when I got out of work. You know, I really, very rarely saw the light of day when I was working at Gold's Gym in Midtown DC. And I remember just thinking, like, this is awful, right? Like, I have nothing. Like, I'm so fucking poor, I have nothing. And it was like laying on the floor, like sleeping on the floor. You'd get up and the next day, like, your knees would hurt, your back would hurt. And I would just get up and fucking, you know, brush my teeth, do a quick shake, and fucking be on my way to my trek to go to work in DC. That went on for months and months and months. And I remember my mom actually telling my girlfriend at the time, like, you guys have to get a bed. Like, you guys have to do something. Like, you're not going to be able to keep up this pace. Like, you know, you're young and stuff, but it's going to fuck you up. Like, there's no way you guys can keep up with this. So we got a mattress from her aunt and uncle. And we threw the mattress on the floor. And we thought we were like king and queen. Like, we're like, oh my God, this is so much better. Like, we have a mattress on the floor. It was like next level, you know, like, we have a mattress on, no box spring, no frame, just the mattress on the floor. And I remember when we started purchasing these plastic, like they had drawers and stuff in them. Like, I don't know, you guess you use them like in a kid's playroom to put crayons in, or I've seen women put makeup and stuff in them. That's what we were using to put our like underwear and stuff in, like as like a chest or drawers, like a bureau. It's like this little $3 thing we bought at like fucking Target. And it was one of those things where we were just like so focused on making it. Like, we didn't even know, like, are we going to make it? I remember the first month we paid the bills. My girlfriend sat down and we, you know, figured all the finances. She was on the computer and she said, we did it. I was like, what do we do? She's like, we did it. We paid all the bills. We're paid up. It was our first month, right? She goes, and we have like $200 left over. And we were so happy because we had $200. Realistically, $200 for the month to eat was not a whole lot, right? For 2 people. And at the time we didn't have the dogs. We left my dogs with my mom and dad, which is another big thing. Like, we had 2 more mouths to feed that were coming down here as soon as we were settled in. And eventually we get to the point where, I mean, we were both making good money. I mean, for Rhode Island, when we both moved down here, I think she was making $40,000 or $50,000 a year. I was making $60,000 or $70,000 at the gym, like just starting out. Like, and we were making like, 110, 120 grand, and we were still poor down here because that's what it costs to live around here. Like, if you're not making 200 grand a household, you can't afford to live around here. But all the opportunities were here, right? So you got to suffer, you got to sacrifice in order to get those opportunities. And not knowing like whether we were going to be able to do it or not. I mean, we could have very well failed and wound up back in Rhode Island broke again with no opportunities. It very well could have wound up that way. It's just not how it went. Both of us dug down and we pushed and pushed and pushed. As far as I know, I haven't really spoken to her in like 15 years, but she's successful. She did it. She made it. And I went out on my own and I did it and I made it. And it was like, we both had to start our lives over when we moved down here. And then we both had to start over when we split, because then the bills doubled, right? Because we didn't have two people paying the bills. So we had to try to figure out how to pay each bill on our own and stuff like that. And I look back, and I'm like sitting on that park bench in negative degree weather, taking the metro, getting 2 hours in, 2 hours back from work, leaving when it's dark, coming back when it's dark, walking to work in the snow when you get off the metro and stuff. And, sleeping on the floor, having no money. And there was points where we just ate tuna because it was so cheap that we'd be able to get some food in and be able to afford enough of it to eat. So we had like macaroni, like pasta and tuna. We bought just regular like Wonder Bread and tuna. We made tuna sandwiches and stuff like that. Like, it was pretty fucking bad at the beginning. Like, we were not homeless, but we were always one step away from being homeless for probably 3 or 4 months. And one screw up, or one of us got sick and couldn't work or whatever, we were paycheck to paycheck. Sometimes we were behind a little bit. And like, and it would just, I look back and I'm like, man, we didn't have any kind of vision into the future as to what it would hold. All we had was hopes and dreams and faith. That was it. And I don't mean faith in God, but faith that everything would work out. And here we are in 2020, and I'm looking around going, that bench, like, I don't miss that bench, sitting on it, waiting for the bus. I don't miss riding the metro an hour and a half each way. But I do respect it, and I'm aware that some people have not gotten to the point where we're at now. Like last night I went to bring the trash out, and it was late, and it was probably 20 degrees out. And I didn't even think about, like, I was cold, but I thought, as I'm walking across the street to put the trash in the dumpster, I'm like, there are homeless people right now. How are they enduring this? Like, how are they getting through this? Like, I remember walking in that cold. I had to walk a long way, and that was hard for me to do. I was just walking there, living in it. So living with, like, very sparse commodities in general, but basically barely living, right? Gave me a lot of different perspective to look at things now and appreciate the things that I have and live in a state of gratitude, because I know where it came from, and I know one bad decision or one bad illness and I wind up right back in that same spot again with nothing, in having to figure out how to keep moving along. So it's one of those things where gratitude has become something very, very big in my life, because I never, ever, ever forget where I came from. I never stop and think, well, that wouldn't happen to me now, and I'm past that. None of us are past it. None of us are too good to become broken homeless. We're just not. It's just how it is. You try to make the best decisions you can, and you try to do things as best you can to make sure that your future is secure. But then try to live in the moment at the same time, and not be scared of the future, and not be held up in the past, right? To try to live in the present and create a better future. But if you've never been there before, you don't know the pain and the fear of going back there again. It's like withdrawals. Once you've been through withdrawals, you never want to take another opiate, because you're so scared to go through withdrawals again. They're so painful that you never want to do it again. So I look at everything I've been through in my life: drug addiction. I grew up poor. I was even more poor when I moved here. There were points in my life that, again, I was even more poor than I was sleeping on the floor. I mean, I had a bed and stuff, but I had the 2 dogs at the time. It was just me and the 2 dogs, Bruno and Nico, and I had about $12 in my account to feed both of us for like 2 weeks until I got my next check for my training. And I'm like, I shake my head and I'm like, how the fuck did I do this? Because I'm just like an average guy. I'm like an average person. I've never been an overachiever at anything in my life, ever. I'm like always average at everything, but I did it, and I look at people around me and I see people that, are homeless, and I appreciate what they're going through. And I see people that are broke, complaining about money and complaining about bills, and I appreciate what they're going through. But remember that, like, everything that you're into, whether you agree or not, whether you understand or not, you got yourself into. right? I moved down here broke and put myself in that position. I could have stayed home and licked my wounds and just dealt with it, but instead I moved down here and putting myself in that position knowing what I did. And some people that are homeless, like, you know, some people, oh, it's not their fault, it's not their fault. Well, if you maintain it and stay homeless, then it is your fault, because there's ways to get out. There are programs. There's so many things that people could do. I watched a homeless person one time when I was in the library because I had no money, no internet. So I'd go to the library and use the internet. I watch homeless people come in and use the internet to search for jobs. And I thought that was awesome, because they're using the things that are available to them for free to try to better their life, right? That's the type of things that I like to see, like people trying to better themselves, people using what's available to them so that they can actually try to get ahead in life and get their situation, make their situation better, like better themselves in the situation by relying on themselves, because no one else is going to help them. So, although I'm grateful where I'm at, I'm very, very sad that I see people going through things that I've gone through that I don't want to say can't get themselves out of, but don't get themselves out of due to one reason or another. It could be mental illness, I completely understand, but bottom line is, if I could do it, it can be done. I mean, that's all there is to it. I mean, none of you out there think that I'm anything special, and I'm fully aware of that. I get it every day. I hear people saying shit like, I'm an idiot, I'm stupid, I'm a loser, I'm this. I get that shit. I mean, the negativity hits no matter what when you put yourself out there on social media, but if I'm the loser, I'm the idiot, I'm the dummy, I'm the bro, I'm all these things, and I got myself out of that, I've recreated myself and pulled myself out of that shit, personally pulled myself out of that shit multiple times, then all it takes is that person that's in that spot to realize that they can do it, and they start taking action. They start doing the things day to day that will help them get out of that situation that they're in. And I hope someone sees this that needs this talk right now, because I'm telling you right now, there are a lot of people out that right now that are better off than I was. They're complaining and they're stuck, and they've been stuck for years. Well, you're better off than I was. You know what I mean? And I did it. So what's your excuse? You have no excuse. You have to dig down and figure out what the fuck you need to do, and then just put the actions in place so that you do it. Take action. Like, stop thinking, stop whining, stop complaining, stop dwelling. Take action. You know, things only change when you take action. They don't change when you sit there and complain and bitch and moan and try to blame everything on everyone else and everything else. Here's the deal. It's your life. It is your choice whether you choose not to move forward or try something different to be better. It may take extreme sacrifice. You may not want to go backwards. I left a home, I left a car, I left everything. I left everything behind that I had, sold a lot of it so I can get down here. I could have just stayed home and been comfortable, lived with my parents. But I wanted more out of life, right? I realized that living with your parents is not the fucking smartest thing to do, right? For me, it wasn't the right thing to do. I'm never going to become who I ultimately want to become, living at home with my fucking parents, right? So, I don't know, guys. There's an answer for every single question, and there is a fix for every single problem. And it's usually right in front of your face and you know it, but you choose not to do it because it's a hard path. It's a difficult path to do. You may have to go backwards in order to go forwards, right? And that is something that's very scary to people. They don't want to go backwards, but there's a long life left. It's not always straight up. It's up, down, up, down, up, down. There's sometimes you go backwards. Sometimes you drop down a peg. That's just how it is with everything. So don't fear the fact that you're going backwards or you're being dropped down a peg. Realize that's part of you moving forward. And as long as you're moving, you're still alive. And as long as you're moving, you have a chance to change direction and go back in the other direction. So when you're not moving and you're stagnant, that is the issue, and you need to get moving again. That's even harder than trying to move forward, trying to get yourself moving again. Trust me, like once you give in, you give up on yourself, you're fucked. It is so hard to get back from that. I'm not saying it can't be done, but it's 10 million times more difficult than if you had just kept moving in one direction, whether it's backwards or forwards to begin with. Stagnant is no good. I'm telling you right now, just staying at one spot and not moving, no good. Life is movement. You have to keep moving, and as long as you keep moving, you'll be all right. So hopefully this will reach some people that will help them. It's not a fitness video. It's more of a reflection and a gratitude video and a thank you to everyone out there who have ever given me an opportunity, everyone out there who have taken opportunities away from me, which made me fail, and I needed that to learn whatever lesson it was so I can become better and stronger and move on forward. To those people that believed in me, even to the people that didn't believe in me. You know, every single one of you have played a role in me getting to where I am now, helping me understand who I am as a person a lot more and be able to accomplish things and not necessarily overcome. Because I don't necessarily overcome things in my life, but I've always found another way around. I've used my street smarts, which I think is actually my best quality that I didn't realize that I had, that I was able to do all these things that other people, they had to learn by going to school or books or someone to teach them. No one taught me shit. It was logic and reason that I've been able to get this far to begin with, and understanding that I believe in myself And sometimes I didn't. I'll be honest with you. Sometimes I didn't believe in myself. And sometimes I had people pushing me up saying they believed in me. And that, is something like I can never repay them for, because them believing in me said to me, I'm worth believing in. I'm worth something. Like those times where you get to that rut that you can't get out of. Like sometimes other people will lift you up out of that, but you can't wait for somebody to do that. If they're not there, you have to do it on your own, or you're just going to sit there and fester, and it gets worse and worse. And then you may not be able to get it. Well, I shouldn't say you be able to, but you may not have it in you to get out of it later on. So stay positive, stay moving forward. If you're going backwards, just keep moving, and be aware that nothing very good or very bad lasts very long. And that's something that I had as my senior quote in high school. I was 17 years old. No matter how bad it is, it has to end. No matter how good it is, it has to end. So be aware that there's a balance. There's good and bad, and life's not going to be all good. It's not going to be all bad. Just take the balance as it comes. Enjoy the highs. Deal with the lows and weather them. And around the bend, you'll have another situation coming up, and it may be high, may be low, but either way, you're moving. BouncerTraining@gmail.com. Leave comments down below. But don't fight. BouncerTraining.com is a blog. It's always moving bicep. We are out.